Obviously play a bit of golf, love playing the golf, and playing off 5 at the moment, and working to get that down a bit lower. I certainly didn't miss the winter training. As I say, my own club played championship a few weeks ago. I was at that game and I didn't have any urge to be out in the field. Cork played the league final a few weeks ago. I enjoyed watching it, but you know, had no real urge to be out there. Obviously Cork playing championship against Waterford on Sunday. And I think probably on the day I might say, well, it would be nice to be out there, but I certainly wasn't willing to put in the 7 months training that the other lads have done at this stage. So I have to say that I'm enjoying life now, and I certainly have no regrets. I do think that GAA players should be treated better than what they are at the moment. If you have a young guy in his 12, 13, 14 who's equally good at all sports, and he's looking at hurling, soccer or rugby, you would have to say that in terms of attraction, hurling would be bottom of the list, and you couldn't blame any young guy for picking soccer or picking rugby ahead of GAA. There was a time where I suppose the GAA more or less had a God-given right to every young boy around the country, but that has changed, and if the GAA don't do something about it soon, I think potentially they could be in big trouble down the road. I suppose they're one of the first to join the GPA. I think it's necessary. I may not agree with everything that they're looking for, but I think there has to be an independent body outside of Croke Park that are looking after the players and looking for better conditions for the players. Where it's gone wrong is the fact that we haven't moved with the times, and there seems to be a resistance to change in Croke Park, and that needs to be looked at. I think they need to broaden their horizons a bit, and realise that we're now in the 21st century, and they need to change the way things work in the GAA.
Yes, Marty Morrissey spoke to Brian Corcoran during the week. So, to the match itself then, at Showery Sample Stadium in Thurles this afternoon. At stake, quite simply, a place in the Munster final. Commentary is by Ger Canning and Cyril Farrell.
Delighted now with the back door we might have beat this morning, but we're certainly going to have a cut off it, but that was a disappointing day for Cork Hurling.
A great day for Waterford, a great day for supporters in particular. I think a great day for Munster Hurling. It levels up the 5 counties again, it brings back a bit of balance, and it's great to be in the Munster final. A long hot summer ahead for Waterford. We're not used to that, but we beat Cork every 10 or 12 years, and when you beat Cork it's a great day.
Well, a great second half to that match, a famous win for Waterford. And
certainly the underdog wins today, and from a Cork perspective, it was a very disappointing day. We didn't figure well today, and you can't take away from Waterford. They were certainly up for it, and you go in with the underdog's tag. You chase the game, you take the game to your opponents, and you win at the end, and deservedly so today. Waterford put up a tremendous show, and there's some great players. The established players you'd have to be happy for, but they've gone through an awful lot of pain over the last number of years. But they brought in 5 new recruits today, and they certainly stood the test as well, and they contributed handsomely to the victory as well.
And we saw at the very end there, I mean, fellas barely able to hobble. I think it was an indication of just exactly the degree of effort they put into this win.
Yes, I mean, they prepared quietly, and there was no fuss about them in Waterford over the last couple of days, and they came with a job to do, and they took the game to Cork, and I mean, as Cork being favourites today, you've got to answer your opponents when they come at you, and at certain times today in the game we struggled in key areas, and we struggled over the field throughout the 70 minutes, but like the likes of midfield and our half-hour line were very, very poor today, and for me, I just can't understand that maybe the likes of Mark Landers wasn't included in our 28-man panel today, why he hasn't been around, because certainly they would have done with his stamina and his actually hurling ability today.
Well, I'm sure Waterford people would enjoy looking at a couple of the points that they scored today one more time, because there was some very good scores.
Yes, I mean, when you're on top in different areas of the field, you must get scored again, and I mentioned one of the new recruits, and here's John Milan coming through in a great score in the first half. When Paul O'Flynn was getting most of the scores for Waterford and they were struggling in attack, it was a great score. To me, maybe one of the key moments today was the placing of Paul Flynn out in the wing, because it gave him a lot more room than he would normally get in the corner, and he showed his hurling expertise today, and that's a great score off his left-hand side. And this time round he gets another one, runs onto a breaking ball, and as it comes to him, he takes a dummy inside and goes inside Derek Barrett, and it's a great score again. All that coming in the second half period. Paul, to me, showed today that he's very, very accurate from frees, but from play he showed the leadership qualities today when Ken McGrath wasn't on the field, and certainly scoring 12 points was a great result.
It certainly was that. Well, now, Tomás, a controversy which erupted after that game is clearly going to have repercussions. Waterford players did not provide a urine sample when requested after the game, immediately after the game, by the Sports Council's drug testing official. Now, before he left Semple Stadium this afternoon, PJ Ryan, the Waterford chairman, explained why.
No, on a personal basis, you know, we fully support the rules and regulations of the Gaelic Athletic Association and of the Sports Council, everybody involved. But players have expressed reservations that they haven't been educated enough on the procedures, and they haven't been educated enough on the medication they can and cannot take. I'm 100% sure all our players are drug free. I have no problem in the wide Italy world with that. But at the end of the day, players have a lot of strength in the association at the moment, and the players' wishes were abided by, and they failed to get any players for drug testing.
Well done.
OK, now that's what they were saying then. Since then, however, we've had a subsequent statement from the Waterford team management, and this is what that said. The Waterford team had not been informed of the procedures involved in a drug test. After the game, 2 players on their way into the dressing room were pulled by the arm by an unknown person and were told that they had been selected to be drug tested. But before the game, the manager had instructed all players to report to the dressing room immediately after the match for a private team meeting. Nobody was allowed to be in the dressing room. When this meeting was over, the players proceeded to the team bus to go to the hotel. The county chairman was informed by Mr. Al Guy that 2 players had to be drug tested. The manager and players were informed on their way to the hotel and agreed with Mr. Guy to carry out the test in the hotel, and this was done with no reluctance. At no time did Waterford refuse to carry out the drug test, but were not fully aware of the exact procedures. Now, this is an area which needs a lot more clarification, and not just for us, but for all GAA teams. Well, Tomás Mulcahy, a rather extraordinary situation at Semple Stadium and afterwards there. But there is a procedure in place by which the teams know exactly what is going on, or should know what's going on.
Yes, I mean, the rule states clearly that before the game, you have 90 minutes after the match to actually present yourself to the 2 players that are notified 90 minutes after the game to present yourself for the drug testing. But prior to the game and up to half time of the game, the drug testing official and 2 officials from each of the counties are to be present, because there's a random draw to be done. If you're carrying a panel of players from 1 to 24 or 1 to 28, there are 2 players randomly picked out to actually be notified after the game for a drug test at that stage. And I'm sure the Cork players went for the drug test today after the game. I have been informed, and certainly if that was the case, I'm sure the Waterford players or the Waterford mentors were informed as well. But there is a little grey area, certainly. I mean, it was easier for the Cork players today. You can imagine being in the Waterford dressing room after the match today, with the press and the media, the fans, the supporters, the team mentors, everybody being so delighted with their victory. They did conform to the rules, I believe. If they did give the drug test back at the hotel, did they comply within the 90-minute period? And that's the big question. Was it within the 90 minutes that they are allowed? And was back at the hotel sufficient at that stage?
But whatever about the specifics, Tommy Lyons, Dublin manager, of this particular case, once again it puts the whole drug testing thing, and we talked about this in the Sunday game just a week ago, right back into focus.
Yes, it does, but like there's no excuse. I mean, I was talking to Dr. Pat Duggan this evening, and our team doctor, and there's no excuse for not knowing the exact regulations of the procedures. And if one team has gone through the procedures, then there's no doubt the other team have, and like they are very clear, and like, you know.
So this is a test now of the system.
It certainly is a test. I think it's a test for the GMs and to actually maybe inform the people at county board level of the proper structures. I mean, certainly from a team that loses today, it's much easier to grab your 2 players when you lose than to grab the 2 players when you actually win. And I think that's where the problem arose today. A lot of excitement in Waterford dressing room.
And if you take it a stage further, right, what we see here tonight in the Sunday game and what we see live today on the television is the front end of the GA. Any people that are actually in the association working hard will tell you just go down one level, and you're talking a lot of cases chaos, right? You know, we have team doctors, they never, you can't get guys to attend training or we're very lucky. We have a very good team doctor, and he's available to the players for phone calls and all that. But very few counties have that. And what you see isn't what you're getting down the line. And
I mean, you're right, Tommy, and I think it's a big thing with the players as well themselves. I mean, if you have a toothache on a given Tuesday night, are you to ring your team doctor to be able to tell you what you can actually take and what you cannot take if it's a week of a match?
Well, there is a very good website now. Like, it's not all one-sided at the moment. Like, there is a very good website, Air Farm, right? But like, it's a whole cultural change within the association. And to be honest, right, we in the association, and we're GA people here, right? We had a seminar for managers and team doctors, right? There was 40 people at it, right? The one that I went in. Now, 40 people out of 32 counties by 2 teams and 64 teams is a very poor turnout. And like, the culture in the GA is not one of a dictate from somewhere else. This is in fact an Irish Sports Council dictate that our association has taken on. There is a lot of animosity towards it because it's a dictate. And GA, by the very nature of the type of person that's involved in the GA, it's parish culture, it's a feeling of belonging, it's all that, and we don't accept the dictate. And also what we have nowadays is a growing trend, and with the tiger economy, we've got independence. Players have become independent. They're no longer yes sir, 3 bags full sir, that we had 20 years ago, where everybody just told the line and that's just grand, we're playing for our county. You can't just get away with that anymore. And I think the consultative process, there has been major weaknesses. We in Dublin have put a lot of effort into it, right? But the consultative process has been weak, and it's been a kind of maybe a little bit MacGuffin in some ways, where it's sure we'll get through it anyhow. Because in the end of the day, there's no GA official is going to be hung out to dry in this. It's going to be players, and byproduct of that is going to be team managers. Nobody else is going to be hung out to dry in it.
All right, Tommy Lyons, Tomás Mackay, thank you for your contribution on that. Now, that Cork-Waterford game was one of our live matches, of course, this afternoon. And our live games carry a man of the match distinction to them, voted for you and announced here on the Sunday Game evening transmission. And your choice from that game was Paul Flynn, the Waterford corner forward. Well, I suppose hardly any surprise about that, it has to be said. While there were some Trojan performances in the Waterford jersey this afternoon, Paul Flynn put in one of those efforts this afternoon that everyone is aware he's always capable of, and he was certainly an inspiration in every possible way this afternoon. Worthy winner then of our man of the match. And I think, Tomás Mackay, there wouldn't be too much argument about that today.
Certainly not. From the throw-in today, he certainly stamped his authority in the game. If you were to look at maybe other players around the field, I thought Tony Brown had a terrific second half for Waterford. Peter Queedy came very much into the game.